Popping off. Wonderful. Good morning.
Good morning. I didn't know that until just now. All good. All good.
So what are we talking about with you today?
Well, I wanted to do a little update about the Sustainable Economic Development Task Force.
Okay.
So we are moving forward. We have a new coordinator, Molly, and we just released the action plan for our Local Foods, Local Places a project, and we now have our solar cooperative is up and running, and we and I want to make it clear that this isn't the county doing this. Is a task force activity. Mm-hmm. And we have selected Groundhog Solar as the installer for homeowners and small businesses. So if anyone wants to get involved with that, there's a meeting on April 10th in Blairsville. You can contact us about that. And those are the main things. And our task force is having a full task force meeting to talk about the focus groups: renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, building sustainably, and environmental restoration. So moving forward with that, and very, very pleased with our progress.
Tell me about the response to the solar projects. It sounds like people are really interested.
Yeah, we've had at least 30 homeowners join the cooperative, and that doesn't commit you to anything. It's just you join the cooperative. Mm-hmm. But if you do decide to sign up for solar installation, there is this installer was selected based on an RFP. So there's a kind of a collectively better pricing model there for that. So if anyone's interested, have them contact either our office. They can call me at 465-3805, or Jonathan Warnock from IUP is heading that up as well.
Okay.
So
Wonderful.
Lots of good stuff there.
Yeah. Commissioner Radek has joined us as well in the studio. Commissioner Baker, what you got today?
Well, I got a couple things I just want to go over, and then I'll turn it back over to my colleagues. I just wanted to remind folks that our new voting systems are going to be in place for the primary election. Our election staff has been working really hard to get those machines programmed and in place, and I think that folks are going to be very pleased with the way they operate. People who are used to voting on the ballots that we have been using for all these years are going to see virtually no change. Mm-hmm. It's going to be pretty much the same routine. Our ADA compliance systems can be used by anyone as well, and so I think it's really going to streamline the process for us, and I think election night will be a lot quicker and a lot easier for us. So when you go out to vote, and please go out to vote, just take note of those new machines. They were mandated on us, of course, by Governor Wolf, who said that he wanted paper ballots throughout the Commonwealth. By the time the presidential election comes up, so we're a little bit ahead of the game on that, and that's good. But just want to remind you that. The other thing I wanted to talk about briefly is that I was in Harrisburg yesterday, and I think we're all in Harrisburg this coming week coming up, and then I'm in Harrisburg for another day the following week. But yesterday I vice chair the CCAP Technology Committee, and got to hear an awful lot about some of the cybersecurity threats that are going on, municipal and county governments and so on, and all of the various measures that are being taken to help to safeguard some of those systems. But it's amazing that regardless of the level of sophistication that you want to get into with regard to cybersecurity, there's nothing that's hack-proof.
Oh yeah.
Somebody can get into it somehow, and we're being very vigilant that way. And but one of the things that we're looking at right now is some legislation that is in Harrisburg regarding how counties and local governments have to report potential breaches in their systems.
Okay.
And we're trying to kind of massage the language in those bills. For example, we need to find out what actually constitutes a hack, what actually constitutes somebody messing with the system, and how long counties have to investigate, and how long before they must report, not only to, for example, the district attorney, but also to the people who may be affected, and what all that looks like. So there's a lot of moving parts in that particular effort. So we're watching that very, very closely. So,
well, when someone tries to get into the system and they bounce off the outer wall, does that necessarily constitute a hack, or do they have to be able to get over the first wall and encounter the second before
the language is still being looked at, but I would say that it's going to come down to that they're going to have to be able to prove through investigation that there was actually some breach of data.
Okay.
Where someone's personal information has been violated, and that individual would need to be notified, possibly have identity theft protection provided. So there's a whole host of things. But hey, if they bounce off that outer wall, that's what we want them to do. But
Yeah.
if they get in and start messing with things, then we have to investigate to determine where we are.
Let's go back to something else that you said a couple of moments ago about voting machines.
Yeah.
Are there new voting machines in every precinct in Indiana County?
Yes, there is a new ADA compliant one and a regular one for each precinct. So all 69 of our precincts will have new machines in place, and we also have 5 spares of each of the ADA and the regular type, just in case you get a glitch on election day.
Yeah.
So,
Were you able to trade in the old machines? It's not like a used car lot, is it?
yeah, unfortunately, they're not giving us much for them.
No.
So there's nothing wrong with those machines. They were working perfectly.
I know.
We just got mandated to replace them, and fortunately, I think Indiana County was in pretty good position. We had anticipated having to do that a couple of years ago. We set some money aside. Unfortunately, a lot of other counties were not prepared and are really struggling right now. And I think that the governor has done a set aside, or wants to do a set aside, of about $75 million to help offset about 50% of the costs across the state, and that would be phased in at about $15 million a year for 5 years.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they have to come up with the money now.
Exactly. You got to have
on
it
the
up front.
local side. All right. Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Commissioner Radek is in the studio as well with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Todd. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I've had a hack for the last.
Hadn't noticed.
Is that a reportable hack?
I actually had to go pick up my medicine.
Listen to Baker. He says, "Is that a reportable hack?"
No, but when you were talking about the cybersecurity, it's my memory that we had a hack in the county commissioners across the state of Pennsylvania in Child and Youth Services.
Yes.
And that took a lot of time on the part of our organization to try to get ahead of that. So a lot has been done in that period
And
of
that's the
time.
driver behind a lot of this.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
impetus.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
break.
Yeah. Well, I want to first of all, during one of our meetings this month, we did a proclamation on Women's History Month, and Shireen was able to put that proclamation together. And I just wanted to make sure that the women of Indiana County know that we do recognize their talents, their skills, and their mentorship in being leaders across Indiana County and the state of Pennsylvania. So we are always excited to bring recognition to those who do well for Indiana County, and certainly our women lead the way. Just tell you a little bit about yesterday. We had a meeting. The county commissioners spread ourselves pretty thin yesterday, but I attended a meeting with a group of educators up at the Indiana County Technology Center. We had Congressman Thompson was here yesterday, and we spent probably 2 hours with him talking about some of the initiatives we've kicked on to bring better recognition to workforce development and to what is happening on the Indiana County Technology Center property as we move the Westmoreland Community College campus up there for part of their growth plan, and also the insertion of the Challenger program as part of the onward development of K through 12 invested energies in workforce development. And then we also talked briefly, and I mentioned about what the Conservation District was doing to relocate also up adjacent that facility, so that we would have a sort of a one-stop shop looking at all the educational pieces that are important to our community, and certainly agriculture, environmental issues are at the top of the list. So a lot of good things have happened. Congressman Thompson asked a lot of great questions and was very, very supportive. Obviously, there's always a financial ask as part of most of these particular programs, but I'm not sure that was the focus of our energy yesterday, but it ended up to be at least a spot of interest. We were talking more so about the impact, I think, that what we've had in our school systems, in other words, the demographics have changed, and we've got to get ahead of this workforce development piece. We've talked about it here many mornings, I think, on these shows, and we haven't given up on that. And I made note this morning that we did receive some money for Indiana County schools. Approximately $20,000 was provided through the Youth Service Committee of the Workforce Investment Board to help, I guess, usher in new ideas, creative concepts that we can make workforce development real and alive in Indiana County. So And also, I might mention that the Indiana County Chamber of Commerce had made a request as well from the Workforce Investment Board, and they were awarded $1,500 because they have initiated the educational partnership meetings that have been so successful here in Indiana County. So we're excited about that particular item of interest. And just a couple of other things that were on the plate. I don't know that we want to talk about it in depth, but at our meeting this past month, we also talked about a Senate bill and a House bill that has created an issue for us on managing health care and mental care for Indiana County. We talked, and I think there was a piece in the local media about that, the written. We've talked about it, I think, at our meeting, and I know there was Brenda brought that up as an issue for us. We're not running in opposition to our legislative team, but we feel the legislative team needs to go back and revisit a bill that's been proposed, two bills on both the Senate and the House side, because what it does, it strips out the ability of counties to give focal attention on mental awareness. And what they want to do is to bring it back holistically, which sounds good on paper. The problem with it is you lose grasp of what is key to our needs in Indiana County. And when you talk about suicide, you talk about all the mental issues that we're dealing with because of the lack of work, the lack of support in the community for other agencies. We've got to find a way to get ahead of that. So we've asked the legislature to reconsider that. I know that Representative Jim Struzzi has done just that, and I think he is working on our behalf.
Well, the study that was just released today by the Robert Johnson Foundation and the University of Wisconsin noted the various places where Indiana County trails other counties in Pennsylvania, and mental health is in one of them.
It's an issue that we have got to work hard at. About 10 years ago, the state cut out a significant amount of money in the budgets for county governments, specific to human services care, which equates to also support on the mental health arena. And we're trying to gather back some of that finance so we can reinvest it where it needs to be.
Yeah, terrific. All right.
So,
well, lady and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us here this morning, updating us on County Commissioner topics. We
thank you
appreciate
very much, Todd.
And it is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS AM 1160 and 101.1 FM.